Well, welcome to your Air Force Association's Airspace and Cyber Conference. I'm excited to kick off our conference with a phenomenal session that highlights our conference theme, air and space leadership for our nation today and tomorrow. I'm your Air Force Association President, Orville Wright, and with me today I have two great leaders. Our current Air Force mission is to fly, fight, and win, air power anywhere, anytime. Winning the fight is deeply embedded in the history of our Department of the Air Force and continues to define the joint warfighting and engagement of our airmen and guardians to ensure America's enemies are deterred and, if necessary, quickly defeated. He's also a command pilot with more than 3,100 fighter flight hours, 300 of which were in combat operations, Desert Storm, and Allied Force. Rico distinguished himself in aerial combat and is credited with downing 3 enemy fighter aircraft. Also with us today is Colonel retired James Harvey, who served during World War II as an engineer, carving airstrips out of the jungles in the Pacific, before being transferred to the 99th Fighter Squadron just prior to the end of World War II. Colonel Harvey went on to serve in the Korean War. He was also the military's first African-American fighter pilot to fly in Korean airspace. During the Korean War, Colonel Harvey was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross, and in total he earned 11 air medals during his career. Colonel Rodriguez also served in the 332nd Expeditionary Operations Group from December 2002 through June 2003. He served there as the Operations Group Commander at Al Jabr Air Base in Kuwait. And during Operation Iraqi Freedom, the 332nd delivered close air support from Al Jabr Airfield. Colonel Harvey joins us today to discuss winning the 1949 Top Gun Trophy at Nellis Air Force Base with the 332nd Fighter Group flying P-51s and the obstacles he and his fellow Tuskegee Airmen overcame to be recognized for their win against all odds is an inspiring story. Colonel Harvey's story and career are nothing short of exceptional. Colonel Rodriguez and Colonel Harvey, over to you. It's an honor to be with you today.
General Wright, thank you very much for the opportunity and the honor, because it truly is an honor to share this stage with Colonel Harvey. As we go forward, I'd like to just focus on the theme that General Wright provided us on, which is winning. And we have a unique opportunity here to discuss the topic of winning through many generations of airmen and the lessons that have been learned from those who we today stand on their shoulders. And so, Colonel Harvey, I want to start today's dialogue kind of tied to the discussion of building a team. Obviously, you brought some amazing skills to the time when the Air Force was getting ready to host its very first aerial gunnery event. Can you share with us the preparation of the 332nd group to define who were the team leaders and who was going to participate, not only in the flying, but also all of the support functions that came with executing that initial deployment?
Right. Pardon me. In the first quarter of 1949, well, let's put it this way, in January of 49, Chief of Staff of the Air Force sent a directive out to all the fighter groups in the United States to have a gunnery competition or weapons competition within each squadron and competing within each group, I should say, and each squadron and each member in the squadron all competing against each other. And they were to pick their 3 high scorers to represent their group in the first ever Top Gun weapons meet to be held in June of 1949 at Las Vegas Air Force Base, which is now Nellis. Well, the 332nd, we had scores because we had been to Eglin 7 a month prior. So based on our scores, Captain Temple of the 300th 301st, sorry. Lieutenant Stewart of the 100th and myself of the 99th were chosen as primary members, and First Lieutenant Halbert Alexander of the 99th as an alternate member. Now, so our team was formed, and we were stationed at Lockbourne Air Force Base in Columbus, Ohio at the time. And before leaving Columbus, we had a little talk with our commander, Colonel Benjamin O. Davis. And we finished chit-chatting. His parting remark was, if you don't win, don't come back. With those words of encouragement, off we went. We landed at Vegas, and our competitors were flying F-82s and P-51s. Now, for those of you who don't know what a F-82 looks like two P-51 fuselages with one wing and one horizontal stabilizer. That's the F-82. And they were flying P-51s, and we were flying the obsolete P-47. It was a good aircraft, but still obsolete.
So it sounds like your first trip to Nellis mirrored my first trip to Nellis. I was going to Red Flag, and my squadron commander said that if you screwed it up and you didn't come up initial looking like a team, I was going to give you a bus ticket and a bag of burgers and you can come home non-flying. So a little bit of pressure on both of our arrivals at Nellis to perform as a team. Can you share, as you were selected as a team, what kind of training did you do back at home to continue to hone your skills based on the parameters or the topic, the events that you would be participating in?
Well, we didn't do anything to hone our skills. We had been to Eglin 7, like I said, a month prior, and that was it. So our skills were honed, and we were ready for action whenever it came.
And so Eglin 7 is obviously an air-to-ground gunnery range down there for folks to train at.
Yes.
And obviously, when you deploy to Eglin 7, you're simulating a forward operating base. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't get part of that.
When you went to Eglin 7, were while you were down there, is that operating at like if you were at a forward operating base?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your entire team, from maintenance to mission support to security to operations, life support, everybody was focused on working as a team for what you were going to learn at Eglin 7.
Correct. The whole squadron was.
So that makes it, one, both an incredibly powerful bonding opportunity, but two, your focus was exactly in preparation for events like the gunnery meet that was going to take place at Nellis.
No, it was not. We were just down there to practice and hone our skills and be able to perform when the time came.
Okay, perfect. So you had the commander's intent, which was win or don't come home. That's one way of looking at it. As a collective team, when you guys were preparing and getting ready to strap on the jets and fly to Nellis, was there ever any doubt in your team's approach that you guys were going to come out of this thing as winners?
No, there wasn't. We knew we were
Good.
going to win. But we have had a lot of incentives along the way to make us win. So one of them was Captain Wiley. He was the liaison between the Rules Committee and our squadron. And when he went to the Rules meeting, no one would listen to him. They didn't want to hear anything he had to say. Why? Because he wasn't white. So what he had to say didn't matter. So they didn't listen to anything. They didn't want to hear him say anything. They probably told him to keep quiet, but to be blunt. And so when he got back to the flight line after his first meeting, the airmen asked him, or the ground crew asked him how the meeting went. he told them, that ticked them off. And then when we arrived a couple of days later, we asked him how the meeting went. He told us, and that ticked us off. So the only thing we could do is win the meet. So that's what we set out to do, and that's what we did.
Very powerful motivation that came from that event, and I know exactly how it can bond a team. When we deployed to Saudi Arabia after almost 20 hours of flying, refueling across the Atlantic and coming through the Mediterranean, we were met by our maintenance team and everybody that was there at our base. And just arriving in country with fully armed weapons on the jets and already starting to receive tasking orders from higher headquarters, we realized that we had left the comfort of the Fort Walton Beach coastline to a yet to be determined conflict that we really didn't quite understand yet. But we knew that we were going to be stressed, and it was amazing the power of unity across the flight line, not just amongst those who were wearing flight suits, but everybody was focused on one mission. So it seems like we both had a spark that brought us together. And ultimately, that's how teams develop the winning attitude, is as we would hear from many famous coaches, there is no I in team, but there is a lot of individuals that make up the team. And when you come together, you become stronger. So an incredibly powerful alignment there.
Yeah,
Go ahead, sir.
our maintenance team, our maintenance personnel, rather, were the best in the Air Force. And we flew the same 3 airplanes for every mission. So that's how good they were.
That is a powerful, I mean, you didn't even have to go to your spares at all during the competition. Is that correct?
Correct.
Wow. That's, well, again, a tribute to the professionalism and the way you guys came together as a team. Everybody carried their weight and one step more. So that's very powerful. Can you elaborate on some of the key accomplishments from the minute you guys landed all the way till the final score was revealed? Can you elaborate on those accomplishments by both individuals or flight members, or as a flight that just stand out and made it a reinforcing statement that your victory really was second to none?
Well, I'd have to go to the meet itself, and that's where we showed it. Like I said, our group, we were flying P-47s, not P-51s. The old Jug. It was a good aircraft, very heavy, big, but good. Pardon me. Our missions were aerial gunnery at 12,000 feet, aerial gunnery at 20,000 feet, dive bombing, skip bombing, rocket firing, and panel strafing. And the first day we had aerial gunnery at 12,000 feet. We had 2 missions, 12,000 feet. Now, boy, I don't know what's wrong here.
Grab some water, James. Harvey there. Grab some water so that you can keep going.
Anyway, let's see, what was I saying? We have missions at 12,000 feet.
The aerial gunnery.
Aerial gunnery at 12,000 feet. We had 2 missions. Now, a mission, your aircraft is fully loaded with ammunition, fully loaded with fuel. You take off, you go to your target area, expend your ammunition, go back and land at your home base. That's a mission. So 2 missions, you do that twice. Anyway, we had 2 missions at 12,000 feet. Well, at the end of the day, we were leading as a group, and Captain Temple was leading as high individual. Now they're going to award 2 trophies, one for high individual and one for high group. So the next day we had 2 missions of aerial gunnery at 20,000 feet. Now, at the end of the day, we're leading as a group. Captain Temple is leading as high individual. The next day we have dive bombing. Now, dive bombing, you come over your target about 12,000 feet, roll it over, drop straight down, line up on your target, release your bombs and pull out by 2,000 feet, hopefully. No, none of the groups did very well on that particular mission, and neither did we. However, at the end of the day, we're leading as a group. Captain Temple is leading as high individual. The next day we have skip bombing. Now in skip bombing, you come in very low to the ground, your propeller clearing the ground by about a foot. You're so low that when you release your bombs, they don't have a chance to nose over, so they hit flat and skip through the target. So like I said, we had 2 missions of skip bombing. Captain Temple had 6 for 6, Stewart had 6 for 6, and I had 6 for 6. So at the end of the day, we're leading as a group. Captain Temple is leading as high individual. Now, the next day we have rocket firing, 2 rockets, same configuration, 6 rockets per person, 3 missions. So Captain Temple had 6 for 6, Stewart had 5 for 6, I had 5 for 6. Now at the end of the day, we're leading as a group. Captain Temple is leading as high individual. Now there's one more event to go, and that's panel strafing. Now, one of the rules of the meet was, if you abort, your team members take off, their score is counted, yours is 0. Well, we had a guy in a P-51 outfit that was close behind Temple. But like I say, he was close, but that was it. Temple was still leading. Anyway, on the panel strafing mission, he had to abort. They gave him another airplane. Right there, they broke the rules. Now, his score was so high that I think they gave him extra bullets. I really do. So anyway, he aced Captain Temple out of high individual. Now, they had to, the way I see it, they had to get something out of this. They didn't want us as a group to take everything. So that's why they did what they did. Now, I've been thinking about this through the years, and I've come up with another thought. I think the abort was intentional because they gave him another aircraft, and then they gave him extra bullets also. This is my estimation. I could be wrong, but I doubt it because of his score. And so he aced Captain Temple out of high individual. So they got something out of it, high individual. But they did it. It wasn't right. It wasn't right. They broke the rules. But anyway, we won the meet. However, we were never recognized as the winner. The Air Force Association puts out a magazine every month. Once a year, they put out an almanac. One of the items in the almanac is the winner of the 1949 weapons meet through present day. Today it's called Red Flag. And that one back then was called Gunsmoke. So anyway, we won the meet. Finally, in 1949, Colonel Campbell, our group commander, called me and asked me if I need data on the meet. And I told him no, maybe Stewart did. So he called Stewart. Stewart said he didn't have anything. He could probably find it at Nellis. So he went to Nellis. He found what he was looking for. And as of April of 1995, it shows the 332nd as the winner of the 49 weapons meet. 46 years. They knew who won, but they just did not want to recognize us as being the winner. And 40s, like I say, 46 years is a long time. Now, we got a big 3-foot solid silver trophy. Somehow that got misplaced. So we have a lady in Atlanta, and she made it her mission to find this trophy. Now, at this particular time, Captain Temple was on his deathbed in Mississippi. So Zellie Orr talked to Temple and told him that she was going to find the trophy and bring it back so he could see it. So anyway, she found the trophy. She went to Wright Pat. She saw the trophy and she asked, why isn't this on display? They said, we got a lot of items in. We can't display everything, and this item will never be on display. Well, it is on display. You go in the museum out of the coffee shop area, look about 134 or 130 or 140 degrees to your right, you can see it. But 55 years in hiding. So that's the story of our life. Had we done something bad, it'd been all over the front page of a newspaper or something. When you do something good, you're never recognized. So we won the meet, like I say, 55 years for the trophy. And the trophy is finally on display. But it's just too bad it went that way.
So as you think about the specific leadership traits of each of your team members and how they contributed to winning, give me a name and then one trait of the Flyers. One trait and one name.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
So as you look back at your team, for the trait that reflects each individual, the one trait, besides a flying skill, what would you say are those traits from your team members? What made them not only great team members and future leaders, but great citizens?
Well, we were out to do one thing: win that mission, win that meet. Sorry, my tongue's.
Right.
And that was all that was on our mind: win, win, win. And that's what we did. It's that simple. I know
Yeah.
It was.
I think a lot of people would say, some of us understand winning, and some of us understand winning like you have, and we tend to say it was simple or something that we were trained to do, but there are some significant sacrifices that everybody makes on their journey to crossing that finish line as the winner. Can you help us all understand some of those unique traits that your teammates brought besides the winning attitude? What else was there? There had to be other things.
That's a good question. The only other thing I can think of is Colonel Davis' remark, "Don't come back." We had to go back. We had family there. But,
Well, obviously, everybody was also a good listener too, because they heard the colonel.
Right. I hadn't thought of that, but that was our desire to win this thing, and we weren't supposed to. Everybody had written us off. Period. They knew we weren't going to win, but we proved them wrong, and that's what we were there to do: prove them wrong.
You had mentioned earlier that you guys basically flew your 3 primary jets and never had to jump to the spare. And so that really puts an incredible amount of pressure and recognition on your maintenance team. And each one of those weapons that you employed, whether it be aerial gunnery or skip bombing, each one of those is a weapon interface to platform challenge that really requires precision and attention to detail. Give me a little bit about your maintenance team, because we've seen throughout the ages where a good team is still rated 80%, 90% fully mission capable. You guys were 100% FMC with your 3 primary jets. Talk to me about the character of your maintenance team.
Okay, well, the P-47, it's conventional, has a big propeller out there. That's why I lost my hearing. That propeller and that big engine. But let's see now. What was your question?
Help us understand the character, the strength of your maintenance team, because they were obviously a key reason why you guys were able to win. Help me to understand that team and how it was that they just came to work every day and delivered, a fully mission capable solution for the gunnery meet with your 3 primary jets.
Well, the P-47 was conventional, big prop out there in front of it. But they took pride in what they did. Everything they did, they wanted to be perfect. So you can't be perfection. And that's what they aimed for. And that's what they accomplished, perfection. You can't beat perfection. And like I said before, they were the best in the Air Force. At that time, the Army Air Corps.
Mm-hmm. Clearly, a lesson learned. When we deployed to Desert Storm, our squadron, we flew over 1,100 sorties. We had an FMC rate, or a mission capable rate, that was 98%. We had one event, one takeoff that due to, literally, it was on an alert mission. Everybody was scrambling to get to the jets and get airborne. And one of the crew chiefs, when he pulled the main landing gear pin, he pulled very hard. And of course, the main pin stayed in, but the banner was in his hand. And he showed the pilot that he had all the number of banners, but it wasn't the number of pins. And of course, when the pilot took off and it was in full afterburner, went to raise the gear up, he had an unsafe gear indication. Well, it wasn't unsafe. It was just one event that would have kept us literally almost at 100% fully mission capable for over 1,100 sorties. And so when we reflected on the value of that maintenance team coming together, true heroes like Chief Matos and so many others on the flight line, their tireless leadership, their commitment to, like what your team said, perfection. Nothing was ever left to doubt. It became very clear that in the aviation business and in the development of airmen, it's a full contact sport and it's a team event. And you don't get that every day. Every once in a while, you find those kinds of teams like yours and mine, and I was privileged to be part of that team, where maintenance and operations really were synced up. And we had additional motivations. Sometimes there was a good colonel that was giving us some guidance from above, but it was really the strength of our team was that we all recognized why we were there. And so I see some great lessons from what your team learned on that gunnery meet that have become part of the core principles of how we train, not only in the air, but in the maintenance environment of our Air Force, and truly makes us a global standard for anybody who thinks about air power and coming together.
Yeah, our maintenance team could change the engine on a P-47 in half the time of any other squadron in the Air Force.
That's impressive. And again, I think those are the kind of motivating events that when we talk about where our Air Force has been and where we are today, that's what inspires young men and women to join the force and wear the uniform and be the best at things like the delivery of air power, the delivery of space power, We really are setting some boundaries that some people would have thought to be impossible. We're pushing those boundaries out as we move forward and go forward. Harvey, the strength of each individual starts at the core. And I call core, my core is my family. Can you tell us a little bit about your family and how you feel you have helped them to be better prepared to lead in our society?
Now, when you say family, you talk about my siblings.
Well, I still have the marks from when my dad gave me some tough love. So let's talk about mom and dad first.
Okay. Mom and I, pardon me. Mom and I got along great together. Mom all the time. We'd paint furniture, paint walls, paper walls, plant gardens. We do everything, cook. We do everything together. And I enjoyed my mother, and she enjoyed me being around. My dad and I, we didn't have much to say to each other. Why, I don't know, but that's okay. That's okay. But after I got out of the military and became a pilot, and he became proud of me. So that's okay too. No. But I had a good life as a youngster. No problems. I was not a problem child. I was a good kid. I was good at school. And well, that was it. I was a perfectionist. So up until the time I got married, and I knock it off. But I was a perfectionist, and it's like going through flying school. Washing out never entered my mind. I knew I was going to graduate as a pilot, second lieutenant, which I did, no problem. But I breezed through flying school, and I just enjoyed myself. I'm a loose person. I don't get uptight. My family life was good. I was the only child for 9 years. Then I had a brother, and he passed away 2 years ago. Then I had 2 sisters. So there were 4 of us. So I really didn't know my siblings very well because I left home when they were youngsters, just entering high school.
As we know in today's world, the stresses of deployments and combat affect us all in a very, very different way. But I can honestly say that the strength gained in certain events during combat and the stresses of combat were calmed for me when it was really about remembering your core and remembering what the family had taught you to do. And so I would imagine that there are some great memories of how you and your mom bonded that brought you some peace when you were in the stresses of that gunnery meet.
Well, the only thing I thought about in the gunnery meet was my mission that I was on. What do I have to do for a perfect score? And that was my goal, perfect score. And now rocket firing, if I had 1 rocket through the target, I should have had 2. Well, the 5-inch rocket that we were firing is a solid propellant. And you get a nice even burn and your rocket goes where you aim it. Now, if you get a crack in that solid propellant, you don't know what that rocket's going to do.
That's right.
That's why Stuart and I only had 5. We had a bad rocket, but that's can't do anything about that.
Can't do anything about that. Exactly. Moving forward.
Yeah.
So as we look into the eyes of the more than 10,000 young airmen that'll be watching this video, what do you tell them from your lessons learned of life and the gunnery meet and your Air Force experience? What do you tell them to show to help them feel comfortable that the decision that they have made to join and serve continues to be the right decision.
Well, I always tell youngsters, strive to be the best. And if you do that, you can accomplish anything you want to accomplish. Don't listen to these naysayers out there. You'll quit because they'll try to drag you down to their level. So just keep focused on what you want to do and you'll get there. Just that simple. You have
It is
to,
a simple but an incredibly powerful message that, you know, when they hear it from somebody of your stature, your experience, your life accomplishments, it represents truly a model. I'll be honest with you, it's a model that is hard to replicate, but is one that everybody should be striving for.
correct. Can't be perfection.
Correct. No, you've got to fight for that. One of the themes that I like to share with my teams or my young audiences when I talk to them is about building a team and building a team of trust. I had the unique opportunity in my first MiG encounter to be actually in a defensive position where the MiG was completely offensive on me. He had me in his sights. The only thing that was keeping him from shooting at me and taking me out really was the combination of the electronics that the airplane had on board, some of the training that I had learned in places like Nellis, but it was also my wingman's missile that was in the air that was surgically going to take this guy out while he was a little less than a mile off my right wing. And so I tell teams that you need to be able to trust your wingman to do the heroic things for you, and in return, be that same wingman for them. So it's not about the glory of one. It's truly the accomplishments of the team that makes the difference in when our Air Forces come together and celebrate, like we are celebrating this year, the 75th anniversary of the AFA organization. It's teams that make us stronger, not the individual I attitudes. It's those teams are truly what makes the difference. And that doesn't mean that the individual doesn't pursue perfection, but they pursue for that perfection so that the team orchestrates and runs and operates as one great team going forward.
Yeah, you always strive for perfection.
Correct. 100%. So Harvey, we're coming close to nearly wrapping things up. How do you want to put a bow on this event today? How do you want to share the many lessons that you have experienced with our audience so that they too will pursue the winning attitude, both by understanding our heritage and setting a path to a new future? How do you want to close this up for us today?
Well, let's see. Set your goal. Have a plan to how you're going to meet that goal. And anything is possible, or everything is possible. If you want it, you can do it. But you can't get sidetracked. You have to keep your eye on the prize, as they say. There will be sacrifices you'll have to make. You can't go to this movie, or you can't go out to dinner, or what have you, but what do you want? You're looking at your future. So your future is worth it for all the sacrificing that you have to make to get there. So keep your eye on the prize, strive to be the best, it'll come.
Those are very powerful words that I think I know for a fact that our Air Force leadership continues to reinforce, and our global leadership needs to reinforce that as well, as keeping our eye on the prize, Don't compromise those values that have gotten you there. Realizing that as a team, we help each other when we have and identify our own weaknesses, so as to become a stronger team, and we build from those. And those are the lessons that when you went to Nellis in 1949, Nellis evolved. And post-Vietnam, Nellis introduced what we now know as our red flag opportunities. And red flag continues to be the cornerstone for how we continue to develop our skills as airmen across the full spectrum of the conflict environment. So Nellis as a red flag home, Nellis as the weapons school home, those kind of synergies truly do take us to new heights. But they don't take us there by ourselves. They take us there with the lessons that you have shared with us today. They take us there with the lessons of the airmen of the Korean War and the Vietnam War. They take us there with the lessons of the Desert Storm and the current wars that we are on. And we continue to build on that with the focus on the prize. And I think the first word of our theme today, winning is the prize. We don't have an option. Your colonel gave you pretty direct guidance. Colonel Davis said, "Don't come home if you didn't win." My colonel, Colonel Geisler, said, "If you don't look like a team coming up initial, I'll give you a bag of burgers and a bus ticket to go home." We have heard our leadership, and we now have great leaders like in General Brown and others who remind us that we have the skills, we have the training, we have the equipment, and we have the character to lead, fight, and win. And so I want to thank you for the opportunity today to share this stage, virtual stage. I look forward to us being able to shake hands in person in the not too distant future. I want to say thank you for your time today, and I'll turn it over to General Wright.
Thank you.
Well, Colonel Harvey and Rico, heartfelt thanks. Inspirational words, inspirational leadership examples, the history that both of you have shared, and your commitment to win, always strive for perfection, and just to encourage every airman and guardian that's out there today. They still are so selfless in their oath of office to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And you all helped encourage us, all of us, to never take our right hand down as we continue to do all possible to defend this great nation. So, Colonel Harvey, it's an honor to meet you. And Rico, thanks for your initiative and your leadership. And certainly for your AFA president, thanks for your friendship.
Thank you.